Russia is not interested in a temporary ceasefire, but insists on a long-term settlement. Assistant to the President of the Russian Federation Yury Ushakov announced this on the air Russia 1. According to him, the temporary truce is only a respite for the Ukrainian army. He noted that he conveyed this position in a conversation with U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. Russia believes that such a step will not solve the problem, but will only give the Ukrainian side the opportunity to regroup its forces and continue military operations. Moscow insists on finding a sustainable solution that will ensure security and stability in the region. Yuri Ushakov noted that a normal exchange of opinions, in a calm manner, continues between Russia and the United States. He emphasized that dialogue is important, but the parties have not yet reached agreement on key issues. The day before, U.S. Congressman Mike Waltz called the Russian presidential aide to discuss agreements with Kiev. However, the details of the conversation were not disclosed. Also, the Washington Post reports that an analytical center close to the FSB has prepared a package of maximalist demands for the Kremlin, including recognition of Russian-occupied territories, a demilitarized zone in the southern regions of Ukraine, and the dismantling of the Kiev regime. Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov said that the Kremlin was not aware of such recommendations, but admitted that some of these proposals had already been raised by the Russian authorities. The ceasefire proposals come amid ongoing fighting and casualties on both sides. But Russia insists that any talks must be aimed at achieving long-term peace rather than temporary measures. Recall, a week and a half after Volodymyr Zelensky's disastrous meeting with Donald Trump, Kiev appears to have re-established a constructive dialogue with Washington. Ukraine's agreement to a 30-day cessation of hostilities has resulted in the U.S. resuming military supplies and sharing intelligence. Kyiv is also happy about these agreements because it has made it possible to break the narrative that Ukraine does not want the war to end. This is what the Kremlin has been constantly talking about, and more recently, the White House. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Wednesday that it's important not to get ahead of the question of responding to a 30-day ceasefire proposal. According to Associated Press, he told reporters that Moscow is awaiting detailed information about it from the U.S. and suggested Russia must get that before it can take a position. U.S. President Donald Trump wants to end the three-year fighting and pressured Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to enter talks. The suspension of U.S. assistance came days after Zelensky and Trump argued about the conflict in tense White House meeting. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who led the American delegation to Tuesday's talks in Saudi Arabia, said that Washington would present the ceasefire offer to the Kremlin, which has so far opposed anything short of a permanent end to the conflict and hasn't accepted any concessions. Peskov also indicated that although Trump said he would be talking to Putin this week, there has been no official request for a conversation from the U.S.
Мы внимательно изучаем те заявления, которые сделаны по итогам, знакомимся с текстом совместного заявления, которое было принято в Джинне. Вы забегаете чуть-чуть вперед. Мы не хотим этого делать. Вчера, общаясь с прессой, и Рубио, и Waltz заявили, что по различным каналам они передадут нам детальную информацию о сути состоявшихся разговоров в Джинне. Вот сначала мы должны эту информацию получить.
Ребят, которые будут возвращаться, назвали ее защитники.
Мы также не исключаем, что может возникнуть и тема телефонного разговора на высшем уровне. Но если такая потребность возникнет, то он будет очень быстро организован. Имеющиеся каналы для диалога с американцами позволяют это сделать достаточно сжатые сроки.
The State Duma declared that Russia will not agree to a 30-day truce, as the United States could rearm Ukraine during this period. Deputy Viktor Sobolyev emphasized that the truce is absolutely unacceptable. He believes that the ceasefire would only benefit the armed forces of Ukraine. Sobolyev considers the temporary ceasefire absolutely unacceptable. According to him, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin also spoke about this. The Russian MP repeated that the ceasefire is only beneficial to Ukraine, as in 30 days it will be able to regroup, strengthen its troops and receive additional drones. This only plays into the hands of Ukrainians. This is how many drones were attacked at night today, we don't need it at all, Sobolyev added. Against the backdrop of US-Ukraine negotiations in Saudi Arabia, Russian Foreign Ministry Press Secretary Maria Zakharova stated that Moscow's position will not be formed abroad, so news from Russia should be monitored. Zakharova stated that the main news will allegedly come from Moscow, therefore, she believes that one should follow the news not from Jeddah, but from the Russian capital. The formation of the position of the Russian Federation does not occur abroad due to some agreements or efforts of some parties. The formation of the position of the Russian Federation occurs within the Russian Federation, said the representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry. At the talks in Jeddah on March 11, Ukraine expressed its readiness to accept the U.S. proposal to immediately introduce a temporary 30-day ceasefire. It can be extended by mutual agreement of the parties, subject to acceptance and simultaneous implementation by the Russian Federation. The representatives of both countries highly praised the bravery of the Ukrainian people in defending their nation and agreed that now is the time to initiate the process of establishing a lasting peace. The Ukrainian delegation once again expressed the deep gratitude of the Ukrainian people to President Trump, the U.S. Congress, and the American people for enabling significant progress toward peace. Ukraine has declared its readiness to accept the U.S. proposal for the immediate implementation of a temporary 30-day ceasefire, which may be extended by mutual agreement, provided it is accepted and simultaneously implemented by the Russian Federation. The United States will inform Russia that reciprocity on its part is crucial to achieving peace. In addition, the Ukrainian and U.S. teams discussed the importance of humanitarian efforts as part of the peace process, particularly during the aforementioned ceasefire, including the exchange of prisoners of war, the release of detained civilians, and the return of forcibly displaced Ukrainian children.